Haha, that looks really cute.
Oh, I love it!
You're listening to the Mike Cassidy Photography Podcast. It's your real-world photography business masterclass with no BS and no magic shortcuts. Here's your host, Mike Cassidy.
And boom goes the dynamite.
A little bit of soothing music.
I think we're going to need it tonight. This is kind of a topic that annoys me, and I see it out there everywhere more and more. So I just wanted to come on and chat about this topic tonight for a bit. This really isn't for experienced photographers. This is really more for people just getting started. Newer photographers run into this a lot, and really what the germ of the idea for this show is that probably, I don't know, a week or two, 3 weeks ago, I was chatting with somebody that was new, just getting started in photography, and she was telling me purchasing all these courses and posing guides and looking to get started in photography business. And it's like, whoa, tell me about, these courses that you saw. Like, oh, do you think it's worth it? Should I spend $1,800 on this course, $500, $600 on this course? And like, I don't know. And she was sending me some of the links and wondering if it was like worth it. And so that really got me thinking about this whole like quick success industry that has popped up in the photography world, and making all these promises, and buy my course and 2 weeks later you'll be a successful photographer. And I got back in touch with this woman. I was like, no, don't do that. Don't do it. And the links I was looking through, or the people, I'm not gonna, put names in there, but looking at some of these ads and so forth, and to me it's like fascinating, because it's like obviously clickbait, or just trying to get people to, because people are eager. When they start in the photography business, they want to zoom right to the top, and especially if you want to get into the retail end of photography, getting customers. These courses all seem to make big promises. Really want to cut out the whole learning part of this and jump right to the success part of it. But if you only had this course, you're missing this one thing. You could get it from this course. Only if I had your $1,800, then you'll be set. And as I noted, this was fascinating to me, because I don't go out there and look for this, but I think that this is something you see more and more. YouTube, Instagram, and just even searching through Google on different websites, you come across these people selling courses and so forth that are just obviously, so heavy into the promises, and it's alluring for people who are just starting in this business. And I get it. I understand that. And I don't think 15 years ago or more, this was really a thing. I don't think, and this is something I'm going to get deeper into. In the world of photography, there's always been this educational, very sharing, community type, show me, teach me type of a thing going on. There's always been people who wanted to be like instructors or teachers or consultants, whatever you want to call it, that would offer their services, but not like scammy, fake guru type stuff that you would usually see. You know what it reminds me? It's really starting to remind me of those like get rich quick fake gurus you would see on YouTube and so forth, where there's like a guy parked in front of a Ferrari, sitting in front of a car and making this whole scheme. You can get rich. I know how to make you rich. And trying to sell these like scammy courses to people. Obviously it works because they exist. And now you're starting to see this, I think, this same kind of scammy thing in photography, where these levels are being, everyone has to outdo the next person to get the business. So you're gonna make $10,000 a week, and the next person 15, and the next person is 20, and the next person is 50,000 a week you can make with my course. So they all have to one up each other, and that just didn't exist. I don't think, not that I ever remember seeing 15 years ago or more. If you wanted to get into photography, you did it just because you enjoyed learning. It wasn't about a business. You enjoyed what you did, and if somehow came across that you fell into making some money or ran into a business, that was great. But I don't think that a lot of people set off purely just money driven like this. And so it's a change in how photography has been over the past few years or so, and it's just have to warn people to be really, really careful when you see stuff like that online, because it's not good. It really isn't good. And so tonight I'm just going to talk a little bit about this, what to be careful, keep alert, and that there's no shortcuts. Despite what you see in these ads, there's no shortcut. And so I'm going to talk a bit about this and give you some information the best I can to keep you on track with your career. And what I really don't want is people to go out there and spend an ungodly amount of money on a useless course. Because, cut to the chase here, that's what most of them are. And it's just, you're throwing your money away. So the one thing you'll see, talk a bit here about this, is, and I mentioned the word fake guru, and these videos, ads are really, again, artfully crafted with that whole FOMO, you're missing out type of a thing, and they are tricky. And what makes it difficult, I think, is that there are people who legitimately are well-meaning and they sell courses, whether it's, wedding photographer, whatever you are, there's somebody who, they want to give you a jump start, and if you can learn some information that it may take years and in a couple of weeks, that's a benefit, So I get it. But now, as I noted, there's just more and more and more of this kind of fake guru kind of stuff going on in the photography universe. And it's not, well, I guess you just have to analyze it, because you have to know how to discern the good from the bad out there. Because, I've never really been into taking photography courses online. Just was never anything that interested me. But it just seems to me this is just a pure cash grab from these people, and it's I couldn't do that. I could not try to put some $2,000 course out there, knowing it's just material I scraped from Google, repackaged it, and try to sell it to somebody as some kind of unique secret, which that's all those things are. It's not a whole lot of real information or unique or novel insight into what I think a lot of these people are doing. It's just, like I said, a cash grab and someone trying to separate you from the money you may or may not have to get started in the photography business, and I think that one tip I may have, I noticed from some of these ads, is that the ones that you really have to be careful of are the ones that are making like money promises. And my first thing is, you see a money promise, run. What do I mean by that? You'll see these earn 6 figures in your first year. I make $50,000 a month. The secrets to being booked every single day for the rest of your life. Like if they're trying to lure in with some kind of dollar amount. If the person making this presentation is talking about, oh, I make so much money. Now I can teach you how to do this. I hardly think that's the case. To understand, people will make this stuff up. It's not real. And then, try to sell these courses and pretend as if they're doing all this money. Something tells me if they were that busy, they wouldn't be selling courses. They'd be out there making $50,000 a month as a photographer with no time to sell a course. So to me, that's obviously the thing that comes to my mind, but to someone who's new, they may not know. And the one also thing I see in common with all of these courses is it's just bypassing all the fundamentals in learning photography and going straight to the business part and straight to the money part. And often, the strange thing about a photography business is that, and I always joke, semi-joke, kind of joke, that, often whether you're in wedding photography, portrait photography, whatever you're going into, photography has a very low barrier to entry. It's a business that anybody can start, and the running kind of joke is, what I do is with women's photography, is you'll often see like people who are on Instagram shilling an MLM, that whole boss babe thing, trying to suck people into their MLM cult. And that didn't quite go as planned for them. And then they pivot, and a couple days later, they're suddenly a professional women's photographer. And then they're out there advertising themselves, come and work with me. I'm a pro boudoir photographer. And they know nothing about technical photography, nothing about running a business, nothing about editing, nothing about working with people, nothing about nothing in the world of photography. And yet, they advertise, try to get clients in, take money from people. And number one, you're not going to do a good job on the photographer side. But number two, and the thing that is just a little bit more frightening and always been to me, because I've heard firsthand stories of clients who may fall into this person, not knowing that 2 weeks ago, this person was trying to get money from people in MLMs. Knows nothing about photography, but they're selling themselves as like a professional photographer. The person going in that doesn't have any idea. This person has no experience doing what they're doing, and they wind up, not having a great experience or poor results and so forth. People don't, it's another whole issue. People don't investigate enough into the photographers that they're working with to investigate their history. It's always, and again, this other thing that people think all photographers are the same. That's so funny. There's no breakdown in customers' minds that there's any difference between photographers, which has always been very odd to me. So people get involved with these brand new photographers who really have no skills or anything, and it's not great. It's not great for the people. And on the photography end, they're like, hey, I'll figure it out as I go along. And it doesn't really work that way. And that leads to probably failure 99% of the time. And my chat, usually if someone contacts me and says, oh yeah, I'm interested in getting involved in women's photography and know nothing about, or I'll ask them, experience? You have a few photos you could send me? No, not really. I'm just really starting, but I want to start a business. And like, yeah, well, why don't you take about a year to learn or so how to actually operate a camera and take photos, and then come back and chat with me. You know, and they're like, oh, I don't understand, but I want to start a business. I'm like, well, you start a business. I mean, just as an example, let's just say, you know, you woke up one morning and wanted to be a professional guitar player. Run down to the store and buy the most expensive guitar you could find. Does that mean you're a professional guitarist? You think that you're going to go on stage somewhere and give concerts? Probably not. You know, how long could it take to learn? A long time. Months? Years of practice before you can get in front of people, or even charge people, or be in a band, or have someone pay you. You know, it would be a little bit more obvious that, yeah, calling yourself a professional guitarist after a couple days doesn't make a lot of sense. But yet in the world of photography, people do this all the time. They wake up one day, they're inspired to change the world. Now I'm a pro photographer. Know nothing about nothing, but I'm a pro. Okay. And that's not really the best way to go in and get involved and run a successful photography business. It just really isn't. But how this all comes into play with what we're talking about is learning about photography, and not even just the business part of it, and editing or marketing, or, you know, it's not just taking a picture. That's kind of the simplest part, believe it or not. But it takes a while to learn. And just like anything else that's a skill, you know, it takes dedication, and it takes time and effort. And you have to get up every day and just practice and learn and get some ability there going before you. I mean, like, when I had no intention of becoming a professional. I never woke up one day and said, I'm going to be a pro photographer. It just kind of happened. But before that, when I started taking photos of women, never about business. It was just really because I saw great photography online, and I was like, yeah, I want to learn how to do that. To me, that's beautiful. That's like such a skill. And I just practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And it wasn't about, there was never any morning where I woke up and I'm going like, I'm going to change the world. It was just because I enjoyed it. And I've told the stories, like over and over and over, that, I would just sit at my computer for out editing and learning as much as I can and doing all kinds of crazy things. I've talked about, like, it's hard to find people to practice boudoir photography. It's not like you can go up to someone and go, hey, you want to take your clothes off and take some pictures? So it's difficult in that regard for that business. And I was determined to figure this out. And, as silly as it sounds now, I went out and bought a mannequin, and I would lay out this mannequin, take pictures and analyze them, and just practice and practice, because I wanted to learn how to do this. And it wasn't till down the line, where I would take pictures of friends and stuff like that, and then suddenly they were like, hey, you think you could do this for one of my friends' weddings? And I still was like, no, I have no idea what I'm doing. I wasn't that, and it just kind of organically, someone told someone, and someone told someone, and someone, had just kind of slowly evolved into that. But there was never a point where I woke up and said, I'm going to change the world now, I'm a pro photographer. Actually, I was very reluctant and never put up with or advertised or anything for a long time. And I think because not to sound like so much better than anybody else, but I always kind of had this self-awareness that, looking at what I was looking at and the people I would follow, I was like, I can't do that. I'm not as good. To me, that kind of was what I wanted to work for. So I was practicing before I even would ever go and dream of charging somebody or calling myself a pro, and then ultimately like eased into that. But that was years of just part-time doing, as a hobby and doing it for myself before I felt comfortable like charging somebody for something like that. It was worthy of that exchange. And even then I was reluctant, feeling I don't quite know what I'm doing yet. But contrast that with many people who lack this self-awareness and about the quality of their work. And, you have to say that lack of self-awareness, they don't know what they don't know. So they don't know they're bad, I found, to most people. And what a lot of people do, again, and is think that just because they go on Amazon and spend $2,000 and buy a camera, suddenly they're a pro. The camera does all the work, right? What do I need to do? I just got to put up a website and start booking people. All right, so because you go out and buy a really expensive guitar, does that mean you're going to be able to play? Well, that's different. Or you buy a really expensive oven, does that mean you're going to be making great gourmet meals? Well, that's a little different. Not any different. And there's just this lack of self-awareness there that people don't make this connection. And also what I've seen is, people going in and, especially in women's photography, it's very sensitive. Posting pictures and not putting them out there in the best light can really, hurt their feelings. And you'll see brand new women's photographers not even knowing what they're doing, putting these pictures online. She rocked it. Look how amazing this is. And the pictures are bad. I would never post something like that. It's just horrible. It makes the person look horrible. What are you doing? But this happens all the time. This lack of self-awareness. And it's not a way to succeed. It just isn't. And if you're out there having fun, hey, but for me, it's always been about, and I think the people who are very successful in photography labor over the art side of it, and I would come in, and if I was working on like a photo session, and in the beginning, still do this now, upload all my photos, and I'd be like, oh, I don't think there's anything in here that anybody's gonna like. It's all bad. And I should have done this, and I should have done this, and I should have done this, and just very critical of my performance, because I could always think I could do something better. Very reluctant to show anything to anybody, and super critical. And I think most people who are, very intent like that, and really kind of, they're the people who tend to, I think, fare the best, because, I always joke too, especially in the world of women's photography, I can look at a picture and know in a half a second whether the photographer knows what they're doing or not. And you just see a lot of bad work out there. And come on, people, especially if you're new, I understand it's exciting and want to start a business, but that's not really how you do it. And nobody wants to take the time to learn in this, now. And it's, forget the learning part, forget the education part, straight to business. I'm a pro. And it's not a good system. And that's where this whole kind of fake guru course thing, I think, comes in. People wanting to bypass these fundamentals and not learn. And it's, photography is an art form. It's not any different from any other kind of art form. And yeah, you're selling your photos, and the way I started it is everybody today is a photographer. If you look around, there's like a million people walking around with cell phones taking pictures. So why would they pick you? What makes you any different just because you call yourself a pro? That doesn't mean anything. The title, or you just shoot means nothing. you have to convince people by being better than everything else that's going on around you. You have to make somebody look at your work and go, oh my God, I want that. Or, that's how I want to be in my photos. And you have to be better than 99.99% of the people out there to create that kind of a situation to stop somebody. And photos are everywhere now. People are drowning in photos, Instagram and everywhere. Photos everywhere. They don't even stand out anymore. So to create a situation where someone is going to stop and notice, you have to do that. You have to stand out. And that isn't easy to do. And it takes time and it takes dedication and a certain ability. And for people who are serious about getting involved and starting a business as a career, it takes work. And it's not something that you're going to wake up one day and suddenly off to the races knowing nothing about the world of photography. So the one thing that, I'm always the bad guy, sure want to be the realist here, but the harsh reality, typically looking at these fake guru ads, is that the only person that is gaining any money in these transactions with these courses is the person who's selling the course. That's it. So, and as I noted, I've never taken a paid course. I've seen content from courses, just because in the course of just people showing me, or I've also in my podcast had guests who have had courses and reviewed material, and there are people that are genuinely put their heart and soul into a collection of material for the benefit of somebody to learn, and put their sweat and hard work in there and are trying to be genuinely helpful. I know such people, and they are photographers supplementing their income by trying to sell courses, and they're experienced, they know what they're doing, they want to help people. And the main difference is, as I noted earlier, there are no promises of money involved. There are no outlandish claims of being booked every single day, or you're going to make $500,000 a year, or I made $50,000 last weekend. Want to know how? Like I said, making money claims is a very dangerous thing. And like I said, as soon as I would see somebody with that kind of on any kind of it, I would run. As I said, if you're new watching this or listening to this, you see that, just run, turn and run. And overwhelmingly, and this is where this gets difficult, in these spammy courses, I can only imagine the information is completely useless and information that you could find anywhere for free. And the one great thing about 2024, whatever year this is just on YouTube alone, just imagine how many countless hours of educational photography content there is out there for free. You could watch for days, weeks, you could probably watch for months and absorb everything you needed to learn about the technical part of photography. Not practical, I mean, you have to go out and get your own camera and work this out, but there are people showing you all about cameras. There are people showing you all about lighting. These great people who take the time to make these videos that I would never have any patience to do. From beginning to end, marketing, there's people out there teaching you everything there is to know about a photography business for free. And start there. That's work. Watching all that, putting that time in is still not something that takes away the practical part of picking up a camera in your hand, going out there, wherever it may be, start taking pictures of flowers, if that's it, or people, and then practicing, having some practical experience doing that. Hundreds, thousands of pictures, however many that it takes, coming home, analyzing what you did, understanding at some point why it's bad, making those incremental changes and improvements, and keep doing that over and over and over till one day you come home and you're like, that's not bad. And maybe that's step one, and you just have to keep repeating that. And as I said, it's really something that is a joy for people, just as if someone likes playing basketball, going out in the driveway and shooting 1,000 foul shots because they want to learn how to become good, or putting. They're doing it because they enjoy it. And that's how you improve. But that's the harsh reality of learning, is it's just time and effort and repetition. And then the one thing you'll pretty much never hear in these fake guru courses is anything about practice. I wonder why. Because there's no quick sell there. I mean, there's no excitement in telling somebody, oh yeah, it's going to take 2 to 3 years for you to figure out how to become a good photographer. That's not going to rope people in. It's always an instant success now. But that's not how it works. Because they're playing off people's desires to make money now. So they're going to say what you want to hear. You just picked up a camera 2 weeks ago and suddenly you're a pro. They're going to tell you, oh yeah, no problem, I got you covered. Just get this course, and a couple days later, you'll be raking it in. You'll be getting emails and text messages. You won't be able to handle the number of people contacting you. Oh, really? That sounds pretty good. But if someone came to you and said, you want to be a professional photographer? I'll tell you what, go home, take 200 photos today, 200 photos tomorrow, 200 photos, edit them all up, then we'll do it again the next week, then we'll do it again the next week, then we'll do it again the next week, then we'll do it again the next week. That's not as sexy sounding, is it? But how do you get stronger when you go to the gym? Just got to keep going. Start very light weights at first. There's no physical change or visible change in your body at first. It takes a long time and a lot of practice before you start seeing a change, right? No one goes to the gym, works out one time and comes home and goes, I'm freaking ripped. I'm swole. Makes sense, right? But in what we do, it works the same way, but yet people want to believe that that's not the case. They want to believe there's just flip the switch. One day you're not, the next day you are some amazing money earning photographer. And that's the gap in between the promises and then the actual content of these courses. And as I noted, photography is vast if you're running a business. There are technical skills, there are, the marketing, the editing is another whole thing, the look of your photos. It just goes on and on. There's lots of levels, lots of different things that you need to learn. Social media, it's crazy now. Got to be in 85 places posting pictures and making content all the time. So there's a lot going on. And the gap is this quick success thing that does not exist in these promises. There are no, again, I'm repeating this so many times, there's no shortcuts. And surely you'll see a lot of these quick success courses completely ignore that foundation part of photography, that technical aspect of learning. Like I said, because it's long and it's boring. There's no shortcut. There's no quick sell. There's no sexiness in telling someone to practice or learn. There's no, telling someone to take a year to learn how to become a good photographer, to gain skills. And these people are smart. They know you want success now. And as I noted, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. Because most people are, I'm not learning. I'm not taking time. I'm not going to practice. I'm not going to practice. I'm not going to take a camera and go out there and learn. I just want to take the checks. I want the bookings. I want that money coming in. But yet, you have no skills and you don't know what you're doing. And so the fake gurus, that's why they succeed. You know, you'll often see that in these fundamental skills, like I noted, are completely overlooked in these courses, and it's just all a bunch of nonsense, and that's why they succeed. It takes work. It takes work to do that. And also, one thing that was interesting about these courses, and as I noted, I was speaking to somebody a few weeks ago who was stressed. She was not feeling too good. Again, after spending, I don't want to say, but it was a lot of money. You know, she's like, nothing's happening. You know, I feel like I just wasted money. And I'm like, you're right. Cut your losses now. But she was emotionally upset because of there was no instant success, and also emotionally upset because she felt taken. And that's not a good feeling, you know. I don't want that to happen to anybody, and you know, I feel bad. And it's not the first time I've had that happen or I've heard about that. You know, and who knows if the people have or don't have this money to lose as well. You know. And the one thing that people don't understand, especially if they're new, is that there are, like, the universe of photography is kind of unique in that there are people who are like real, authentic mentors out there. You know, the community in the photography world has always been strong, and mentoring has always been a good thing. It's been around like as long as photography has been around, and it's local, and usually it's free. You know, there are people who are experienced photographers, very good at what they do, who have no problem taking somebody under their wing and showing them, because they have joy from sharing their knowledge and their experience and their passion, and they want somebody to learn. And they're not going to charge you $1,800, $2,200. This is the path I would always recommend for somebody, especially if you know nothing about photography. And really avoid that financial hit, that emotional hit, which can even be worse, of getting sucked into these courses. Find somebody, you know, I don't know whether it's through like Facebook or Instagram, online, somebody who's an experienced photographer. Doesn't it have to be someone who does the same thing that you're thinking about? I mean, there are nature photographers out there walking around, landscape photographers, people who like pictures of birds, portrait, whatever it is, very strong in their fundamentals. And whether you are taking a photo of a bride, whether you are taking a photo of a woman in lingerie in a bedroom, or a pet, or a baby, the fundamentals are all relatively the same. And whether you learn, you can always change your subject, but learning the fundamentals. If there's someone, or if there's a group that goes out and does nature photography every week in your area, go and join. Be happy and make friends. People don't go out and meet anybody anymore. Become part of these local mentor groups, and these people are happy to teach you about how a camera operates, how to take photos, and you become very comfortable and as lighting changes and situation changes and adapting. Because there's nothing worse awkward than fumbling too in front of customers. And if you're someone paying there, you have no idea what you're doing. Fumbling through a camera, and it puts people in very uncomfortable situation too. But find a mentoring group, you know, and learn that way. That's how you want to go out and do it if you don't want to do it on your own. Because don't want to get sucked in for a lot of money, because then what happens? You feel bad. And then I think a lot of these people tend to give up again because they don't get that instant success. And then they feel taken, they feel cheated. It's not a good thing. It's not a great thing. And the genuine path to success is exactly that. Whether you are starting with a local group or one-on-one with somebody that you can meet once a week, even if it's once a month. And you'll find yourself enjoying that. If you find that enjoyment and dedication, you find yourself learning, that's the path to go ahead and get out there and start to become a pro in the world of photography. And that's how you build a sustainable career, you know. And that mentor isn't going to charge you or judge you, or, you know. And I've done that in the past with people genuinely interested in learning. I don't charge anybody, you know, and people are very grateful and say, hey, when it's your turn, and you just teach somebody else how to go ahead and do that. And where this gets confusing too, as I noted earlier, that there are photographers, legitimately well-intentioned people, that also are selling courses, doing mentoring. And this is where this gets confusing. If you have followed somebody online, you know, there's a lot of photographers now selling. They're genuinely out there and they're involved, and someone that seems that they're on the level, and they're piquing your curiosity, and people are selling a course or something like that, and contact them. Ask them what's so special about what they're selling, and have a conversation with them and find out a little bit more about what's in there or what they're offering, and, you know, before you jump in. I mean, there are good people, but generally, like I said before, I would get involved in any kind of course like that, is just learn the basics of photography by yourself. And a lot of times these courses are more specialized for people already knowing I'm getting involved in the wedding business. And each of these genres has specific knowledge about working with clients and posing and stuff like that. And when you figure out your path and, you know, build a relationship with somebody online, whether it's just following them or their videos or Instagram, and, you know, they seem legitimate and they offer material that teaches you how to do what they do, I would reach out and chat with that person and find out a little bit more about what they're offering. You know, and as I noted before, if there's any money promises in there, just don't get involved with that. Also, too, I think that a lot of community colleges offer photography courses as well, and they're not horribly expensive. They're a heck of a lot less money than paying an $1,800 useless course that's going to get you booked nonstop overnight. So I know people too have also taken photography courses. Yeah, you're going to pay for it, but again, it's legitimate knowledge that you're going to be getting, and that will pay off. So if you can't find a mentor, or if you're, you know, some people need that one-on-one just by watching a course on YouTube or something. They need someone to walk them through it and to figure it out. You know, going to a local college course is something I would recommend to do as well. And usually you could find these courses online, and they're not horribly expensive, and they're only like one day a week or one night a week. And you can go and learn photography that way. And then you'll also see other things that are legitimate and that I've heard of are like weekend seminars. You know, you again may have to pay to attend these seminars. You may find like a 2-day course at a local studio or local hotel banquet room or something like that, where there may be a specific type of training, and you're going to pay because Usually the photographers have to rent the location. There's expenses that go on with that. I would, again, find out more about what they're teaching, but I've seen, especially in like what I do with women's photography, where there can be very well-established photographers that hold like their own seminars where there may be a small group of people that get together to learn about working with specific situations, especially with boudoir photography. There's someone there to walk you through and guide you and teach you, which I'm all down with that stuff, because with what I do, again, with boudoir, it's very, very difficult to learn. It's probably one of the hardest forms of photography to learn, because it's just very difficult to find people to practice with. It's not like every day you're just walking down the street, hey, you want to come in and take your clothes off and so I can practice taking some photos? It's hard. And then you may have a friend, you can annoy them into coming in and, hey, Janie, I'll buy a Starbucks, come in. And, you may have a friend that you can persuade to come in and do something like that once, but people are only going to come in so much and let you practice, especially when it comes to boudoir photography, so that gets tricky. So there are seminars where they hire models and have people come in, and there are very good instructors which will pose and teach you how to work with lighting and stuff like that. But I would not, again, get into any of these courses till you have a good basic knowledge of working a camera. Or you're just wasting your time there if you don't know what you're doing. As I always say, there's a lot going on, especially when you're working with clients. And people don't think about this, is that you need to have your camera business all kind of on automatic, and not be thinking about it too much. Because you also have a client in front of you that you need to be guiding. And if you're not knowing what's going on in your hand, you're going to be fumbling through. Like I said, and this is for weddings, this goes through for anything. So you really need that solid foundation first, and then learning how to work with women is another whole, process that takes time. And, especially in what I do, is women are feeling very vulnerable, and you get fumbling and I don't think I got that, or that camera, mess it all up, and you don't know what you're doing. It's not a good experience for the person, and you will hear about it afterwards. And that's why it's even trickier. In weddings, I know people who wanted to become wedding photographers again, and they start as like donating their time to a local photographer, or maybe working as like a second shooter, and they have that kind of, you get to be around that business and see if you like it and see how it goes, and then what pictures to take and stuff like that. And it's a little easier. Or if you're just doing portraits, you can find a lot more people to work on and practice portraits with too. But before you get involved in these seminars, I would say, you need that basics and learning in your fundamentals before you take that next step. And it's just one thing at a time. It's like, got to learn to walk before you can run type of thing, which is very, very true. And one other thing I do want to bring up is that you will also see photographers offering consulting, a little different than teaching or courses, and they may be charging a lot of money for consulting. Not to throw another thing in there, but this is more for established photographers. Say maybe you've put in your time, learned everything, and you're just starting going, and you're working, and you're trying to, improve your game or learn something. Or again, very experienced photographers who, for a price, will talk with you, because it's a business thing. It's a business, So you're taking their valuable information to grow your business. So I have no issue with people charging for consulting. Again, got to do all your homework and have a chat with this person first to make sure they know what they're talking about. But there's also that once you get started and going, finding somebody to consult with, maybe about your website, what's wrong with my website, or reviewing photos. You get to that certain level of, skill with doing photos, and hey, these arms are not in the right way. You can change this, or you can change this with a photo, and it's maybe information you couldn't figure out on your own, and they can really, oh yeah, now I get it. And my website and other things, people will consult you with business, scheduling, and so forth. And that's like a ROI type of thing where you can consult with somebody and put their knowledge in place in your business and turn that into sort of a growth strategy thing there. So, but that comes down the line. And don't jump into consulting one-on-one like that with somebody first, because it's just not for beginners, like I was saying. So we'll start to wrap this up here today. And the real point of this episode, as we've been talking about, is just please, if you are a new getting into photography, avoiding these fake guru style, get rich quick photography scheme type things, because I think you're just in for a world of disappointment. Anybody promising get rich quick, be booked, putting dollar amounts in ads, I make X, I make so much money, buy my course, really, I'd be very wary of. And there are no shortcuts. If you are new to the world of photography, it takes time to learn. There's no I'll figure it out, especially on your genre of photography. Last thing you want to do is be figuring it out with somebody's baby and in a studio. That's wrong. And then ultimately, if you are going that route to becoming a professional photographer, you're getting off on the wrong foot, and I think your business is going to suffer very much like trying to get up and fly a plane before you know anything about it. Yeah, I'll figure it out in the air. Don't worry. How do you turn? So it's exciting, and it's great. And I don't want to ever discourage anybody from getting involved, because it's a good career, it's a good business. But, you have to have that level of self-awareness when you want to start anything new. Like, you would know, you could not wake up one day inspired by maybe a TV show that you saw and you want to be a chef. That's great. You don't go out and to a 5-star restaurant and call yourself a professional chef and say, I'm a professional chef. You wouldn't do that in pretty much any other business, but yet in photography, people lack the self-awareness, again, where they wake up one day and I'm a pro, give me your money. And it's not a great path to success. So, take your time, make it your passion, go out there, take photos, start to build and learn over time. It's not going to happen in a week, certainly not. And I know you're changing the world, especially those people in the world of women's photography. I get it. But I'm going to be even meaner and tell them that your crappy photos aren't changing anybody's lives. The empowerment thing stems from beautiful work. Just because you're saying that doesn't mean it happens. I know I'm very mean for saying that, but it's meaner to let somebody believe that that's exactly what they're doing when it's not the case. So learn, take your time, build your skills, take it step by step. Once you get to a certain level of ability, and you'll know, because you'll look back at some pictures you were taking and going, that was terrible. That was awful. And I think once you start to get to that level of self-awareness, you're on the way. If you do want to get involved in courses, I wouldn't do that at first. I would, so much free material out there. Want to learn how to take a picture? Go on YouTube, do something like that. Get practical experience. Go out and do that part first. And once you're then go and you're taken to the next level. Be very, very careful with who you're handing money to. Contact them. And if they're reluctant to tell you about it, that would be a red flag to me. Why would I take this? What am I going to learn here? what's going on in this course. And if it sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, it probably is. Stick with legitimate, experienced photographers who are trying to help other people. And that's the tricky part, because there are good educators out there. I know them. Avoid the get rich quick people. You'll be booked so fast people. And just enjoy the journey, because the thing about photography is it's really, enjoying that path. And if you find yourself really waking up in the morning and saying, wow, I can't wait to get out this weekend, and I'm off and I use my day to take a couple of pictures, and you find yourself operating in that fashion, I think you're on your way. And don't spend a lot of money on new. That's another whole thing, but don't go out and buy really expensive photography gear at first, because it doesn't matter. Taking bad photos, you can use a bad camera. It doesn't matter. Just learn. Don't spend money you don't have on expensive gear. I use stuff, but I don't want to go down that road. We've been talking long enough tonight. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this. Thanks for listening today. Hopefully this was a little bit of help for you. And thanks. Any questions or anything, just leave them down below on the podcast. You can always reach me on my website. And thanks for listening this evening, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks.